Hello, I'm Marvin McKenzie. I recently saw a statement that stopped me in my tracks. It said, "Your church is dying because of compromise, not the culture." I know that sounds bold, it sounds prophetic, and in some cases it might even be true. But before we repeat it, repost it, or point at it at someone else, we ought to need to slow down a little bit and ask a few honest questions, biblical questions. First, what does dying actually mean? Scripture already warns us not to confuse appearance with reality. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 1 says, "Thou hast a name that thou livest and art dead." So, yes, a church can look alive and be spiritually dead, but the opposite can also be true. A church can be small, shrinking, or ignored by the culture and still be spiritually alive. Our perception could be off. Second, what do we mean by church? When someone says your church is dying, it sounds like an accusation against a local body of believers, but it's entirely possible that what is dying isn't the church at all, but the systems that were never biblical to begin with. Programs, methods, expectations can collapse without Christ's church failing. The Bible calls the church the pillar and the ground of truth in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 15. If truth is upheld, Christ is honored, and Scripture governs, the church is still doing what it was designed to do, even if cultural applause disappears. And third, what is compromise? This is where things often get blurry. Compromise is not defined by style, music, or whether things look like they used to. Compromise is doctrinal. Compromise is moral. Compromise is when truth is softened, authority is diluted, holiness is neglected, or the gospel is altered. Paul warned in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 3 through 4, "For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine." Now that's real compromise, when sound doctrine is replaced with what people want to hear. But not every change is compromise. Sometimes what people call compromise is simply the loss of traditions they grew comfortable with, traditions the Bible never commanded in the first place. Now here's the tension we can't ignore. Scripture tells us plainly that as the end days approach, things will get worse, not better. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 13 says, "Evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse." Jesus himself asked in Luke 18 and verse 8, "When the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on earth?" That means faithfulness may cost influence. Faithfulness may cost numbers. Faithfulness may look like decline to an observer who equates success with growth. So the statement isn't entirely wrong, but it is incomplete. Some churches are dying because of compromise. Some are shedding false converts. Some are watching man-made systems fail. And some are simply standing firm in a culture that no longer tolerates truth. The real question isn't, is your church dying? The real question is this: is your church faithful? 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 2 says, "Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful." Not popular, not impressive, faithful. That's the measure God uses, and it's the only one that ultimately matters.